Welcome back to Manhood Mindset on WVGS 91.9 The Buzz. This is Dale from Riverdale.
This is Big Chris from Ellenwood, Georgia, man. How y'all doing out there? How y'all doing? Big dog.
What's going on?
Welcome back, man.
Welcome
back.
Baby.
Welcome back. It's been a lot going on.
A lot.
It's been a lot going on, ladies and gentlemen, but we're here to have some fun. We're going to talk about a lot of good topics. We're going to check in with y'all, man, just let y'all know how we doing. And guess what? I hope y'all do understand that we have a new, I would say, addition to the show that y'all may enjoy. I know a lot of people, we've got a lot of feedback, was like, man, you know, your show will be like going to the next level, man, if it was a little bit more interactive. You can interact with the crowd or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so just because we love y'all so much, and also, you know, we love ourselves.
True. Very true.
We have a call-in number, man. WVGS 91.9 The Buzz. You can call in live 912-478. I just forgot
7364.
7364.
I have no idea how I remember that.
It's all right. Does that still on WVGS?
It may. Let me look. Let's may spell WVGS.
Let's try that, man. Maybe it's 912-478. WVGS. Let's double check for the people real quick.
No, 7364 does not.
All right, then. Just in your mind, just think of that while you dial it, though. All right? It don't have to necessarily line up, but 7364. All right? 912-478-7634. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Manhood Mindset. This is Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Zeta Delta Chapter down here at Georgia Southern University. Manhood Mindset. If you don't know what we are about, we talk about all types of issues that could affect the mindset of black males. However, everything that we talk about, everybody can relate. So just because you're not a black male, if you don't identify with being a black male, that does not mean you can't listen to the show and call in and chime in and give us feedback and give us your point of view. So we appreciate all of that, man. So Dale from Riverdale,
what's going on with you?
Man, how was your break, man? Tell the people where you went, what you did, what you ate, what you saw, all of it. What's up?
Well, I ate a lot of things. Macaroni and cheese with the glazed ham on the side. On side, I scraped the peach cobbler crust off and caused a riot.
People trying not to enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? People just like, man, why is he singing, man? Hold on, did he say peach cobbler? I do like that.
I was just I had a great break.
Right.
Just trying to get back into the mode of going to school. I'm taking 20 hours a semester trying to graduate, and may Lord help me, Jesus, and every might of his power, please save me from what is going to occur.
Jesus, be a steady guy.
Jesus, take the wheel, man, because I cannot steer this.
And the Scantron.
And the Scantron.
Jesus, take the
Lord,
Scantron.
Please let it be. See,
that is a T-shirt.
Lord,
y'all need to do that. Just put on Jesus, be a Scantron, man. Jesus, take the Scantron. Y'all would sell.
Jesus, take the Scantron.
Jesus, take the Scantron.
But other than that, through our fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, I was blessed to go to Houston, Texas for our undergraduate summit.
For sure. How was it?
Oh, it was marvelous.
What are some of the things that y'all learned that you can share?
Yeah.
You're like, well, you know, one time we had, you know, that party got a little weird. Shower shoes.
No, one of my favorite parts about it was the Fatherhood Initiative.
Okay.
I went to the Fatherhood Initiative, and it was really on some like, hey, there's men out here suffering too, and how kind of like, and don't get me wrong, I mean, well, I'm gonna forget it, unapologetically, pretty much all the resources are geared towards women, and it doesn't acknowledge the fact that there's men out here taking care of business, who are single fathers, who, you know, are not the stereotype of which they, you know, society paints.
Right.
Another one was Brother, You're on My Mind, which is the initiative of what we're doing here. They didn't really speak too much on it, but it was basically just about upholding, you know, each other as brothers, you know, realizing that there's a lot that people go through, and especially bros and stuff like that. And it was just a real good, it was a nice, you know, a little bit of work. Just, of course, you know, the internal things about the fraternity of which you shall not know.
Yeah. Of course.
But just know we will continue to be great.
Most definitely.
And we will continue to ascend from there.
Yeah, for sure. And the interesting thing, I know a lot of people talk about what resources are there for men and women. You know what I mean? I know a lot of guys, and a lot of guys that we talk to, man, a lot of people are like, a lot of things that are set up for support are geared towards females, and they're not mad that it's geared towards females
at all,
but it's just a lot of things that men actually need that are being overlooked, and of course everyone has the the talking point. It was like, well, you have male privilege. And you were like, well, you got to start talking about which males have that privilege. You know what I mean? But we have to.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
But what it's real easy for both genders to talk about the privilege that each other has.
True that.
But if we're going to do that, let's also talk about the downfalls of each gender.
That is true.
Because for every privilege you got, you pay for it in a consequence.
That is true. All privilege costs. So you got to find out how much, what the price of it is, Because sometimes we may think people have a better life. And some people say, well, you ever heard some people make fun of other people for living in the suburbs? And like, man, you ain't been through nothing. You had an easy life, man. You lived in the suburbs. you're like, suburbs don't guarantee, the lack of foot and butt.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes the suburb is more dangerous because you have a whole bunch of people trying to prove that they're gangster.
Man, trust me. Trust me. Be like, hey, man, what you doing in that gas can? We trying to keep it real. I like,
what?
Your dad is on the school board.
I'm a gangster.
Yeah,
But your daddy.
I'm like, dude, you play the clarinet. Like, you can't be, I ain't gonna lie to you. Nothing wrong with the clarinet. But if you got a woodwind instrument, you can't be in a gang. You just can't be in a clique just intimidating people like, hold on, man. After I do this scale real quick, we going outside. You're like, no, dude. No, you can't do it. Can't do it. So, but
get the straps.
Exactly. So, but ladies and gentlemen, man, but at the end of the day, the good part about it is we're actually having that discussion nationwide and internationally too, man, because no matter what's going on, and we're going to talk about all the things politics, we're going to talk about all the things sports, we're going to talk about all the things like personal, spiritual, all of that good stuff that's affecting the mind, man. So a lot of people are actually out there trying to figure out what in the world is going on. I know I know a lot of people get their news from TV and social media. You know what I mean?
Speaking of social media, my Facebook been going up, man. Shout out to the Falcons, man. I really hope y'all beat my team.
Bruh.
I'm a Patriots fan, but I'm going to say this for everybody who follow me or know me. Y'all going to be like, it's weird. Because it's like, I'm from Georgia and I love my city, but I've never really cared for the team. But I really am on the Falcons side. I'm a Tom Brady fan more than a Patriots fan.
For sure.
But I really feel that this is long overdue for the Falcons.
Right.
I would love to see them not only just beat my team, I would love to see them triumph.
Yeah.
Like,
obliterate?
I mean, it's still my team.
Yeah.
But 10 points?
Yeah.
Like
a respectable 7.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
A respectable 7.
Okay, they didn't kill the Patriots, but they won. Can't nothing be said about it, and I feel like they need that. They deserve that. It'll definitely get their spirits back up, and then hopefully it'll motivate them to continue to be in the playoffs.
Most definitely, man. I think at the end of the day, I mean, I had the funny thing is I had a Facebook post maybe like it was right after the Seahawks game. I had asked everyone because like I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It's people in Atlanta too, but a lot of people don't understand that Atlanta is a city full of people who are not from Atlanta. You know what I mean? So a lot of people were like, how can you be from a state and not like the Falcons? And you like, well, you got to ask everybody. There's a lot of people who moved to this state who hate the state. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people who moved to Georgia who hates everything Georgia.
That's true. Why are you here?
Because of rent prices. Rent is horrible in other places. Mortgages are crazy. The cost of living is ridiculous. So a lot of people, and this is from word of mouth, and honestly, some stuff I've read. I mean, some people come here because it's affordable.
But Texas is lit too.
Heard about that. Heard about that.
Bro, there's this place called Whataburger. Oh my God, Whataburger.
Bro, you need to do commercials for it. I can literally smell it.
It's so delicious. Imagine, okay. Imagine me in heaven, okay? So I'm sitting here in this restaurant. Shout out to my homegirl Jamila, who used to be work with Matt. She introduced me to a Whataburger in Jacksonville, Florida.
For sure.
Now, the best, it's like Steak and Shake mixed with Burger King on steroids, with all of the juicy and flavorness of Wendy's.
Hold up. You said Steak and Shake mixed with Burger King on steroids, mixed with the what?
With all of the flavorings and the juicy and tenderness
of
Wendy's.
That was like a fast food adult film. What you just...
It is so delicious. And I broke my diet. I did it. I was like, man,
you gotta have it.
It had to occur. Exquisite eating.
Exquisite eating, man. That's crazy, man.
That's gonna be my new hashtag. Exquisite eating.
I remember I went to this place called Fuddruckers a long time ago.
Oh my God! Will you build your own burger?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
God.
strange, man, because I don't like, I like burgers that's already fit. I don't like going to a bar and seeing other people ruin it. No, what happened was, like, you can go up there and build your own burger, man, but I saw a whole bunch of people up there playing, and it was like kids running and stuff, and I was like, I'd rather not have people wondering what they're doing in a place where I need to go get something I'm going to consume. You know what I mean? And so that was my first and last day there, but I get the idea.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I stopped immediately.
Pickles.
Can't even do it, man. All right, so now we were talking about a lot of people who were, and it was a heated debate on social media, man. It's a lot of people out there that just do not care for the Falcons, but it's a lot of people who are actually from the Atlanta area, right? And so, a lot of people had those different things like, well, I hate them because of what they did to Vic. I hate them because they haven't won a ring yet. I hate them because this. I hate them because that. And I was just like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, but how much hatred do you actually have for a team? I think it got to the point where, if you hate a person, I don't like them, right? But I've seen people get up like just to hate. Like they're getting something out of it. You know what I mean? It's deeper than not having anything for a team.
All right, okay, on 3 we're gonna hate.
I'm so serious, man.
Ready?
It's people making videos like, man, y'all gonna do nothing. It's people from other sides of the country. Y'all ain't gonna never be nothing. I'm like, man, that's NFL bullying. Like,
it really is.
Sports bullying. Like, it's just like, you never won it, you never will. And I'm like, well, dog, I had a real good conversation with somebody who was like, well, the reason why I don't like the Falcons is because they don't have a ring. I'm like, well, do you hate other teams that don't have a ring? I'm like, no. I'm like, well, then it's personal. Like, you really hate them.
Yeah.
You like, no, it's not hate. I'm like, no, dude.
Hey, man, he fought a dog one time, man.
Yeah. And
one time.
And this is the funny thing, man. A lot of people, and honestly, a lot of people don't understand exactly the depths of the Mike Vick situation. We only know what was reported. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm a Mike Vick fan through and through. And it was unfortunate that he had to lead the team. But we all really just do not know about all those meetings they had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't.
We just know how a lot of fans reacted to it.
Well, I watched the documentary on it.
Right. Well, so how was the documentary? What did because is Vic even pissed off at the Falcons?
No.
At all. That's what I was thinking.
Not at all.
Sounds like you holding grudges for a dude that ain't holding it.
He was kind of just like on the documentary. He was kind of just like, I messed up.
Yeah,
that was basically like, and honestly, I could respect that so much because he was just like, look, I'm not a bad person.
No,
but I mean, don't get me wrong, I love dogs.
I had one once. I did.
And what happened to it?
Her name was Chicklets. Her name was Chicklets, and she was a nice,
What is a chicklet?
Chicklets was like these little candies back in the day. They used to sell at churches. Not church's chicken, but literally like black churches across Atlanta. They had chiclet. They had like chiclet outlets or something like.
For some reason, I thought that was some kind of like chicken and gizzlet in like gravy or something like that, like chiclet. You know what I'm saying?
I understand, and I thought it was too. Because the first time I was disappointed and surprised. But I was like, so we getting a chiclet? Because I thought it was like a little chicken biscuit.
Yes.
And she was like, oh, yeah, there you go. And I was like, what are these little small little Tic Tacs, colorful Tic Tacs?
That's all it is.
Yeah, she was like, no, that's chewing gum. I'm like, Okay. So, and also everyone knows Chiclets, they completely lose that flavor as soon as you open the pack. But like everybody know those candies back in the day, man. You just open it and just be like, oh man, I need another one right now. Like immediately. What happened to that person? I don't know. I'm chewing on something, maybe paper. Who knows? But no, man, her name was Chiclets and she's no longer with us. She it was I'm not sure how to say this on the air. She was in a situation where her body warmed up for a significant other. She was in heat. Yeah. And I don't know. The date was going pretty good when I saw it. I wasn't watching it. I was just witnessing it. You know what I mean? There's a difference between watching and witnessing. Because I didn't know. I thought they were playing at first. Then all of a sudden I saw candles. But so now I'm looking at, I'm like, Chiclets, what are you doing? You know, and she had that look on my face, like, look on her face was like, this is my last time here. I found him and I'm never coming back. And after they got finished, she packed her stuff and left. And I was like, you know, I was hurt, but I understood. So when you find love, sometimes you just got to go with it. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, though. She didn't make it up the street because a huge truck came out of nowhere. But she had a good time that night, and we're gonna miss her. Rest in peace, Chiclets. All right, but back to the Falcons, though, man. But I really think they have a really good shot of beating the Patriots. We do understand the Patriots have a historic background when it comes to winning and championships and consistency. But everything is pretty much stacked up against the Falcons, except the Falcons are actually legit competitors in this Super Bowl, y'all.
Man, I'm gonna tell you like
they really are. They really are.
When it comes to this, I got a simple phrase, and it's biblical.
All right.
The first shall be last, and the last shall be first.
That was not true in my lunchroom.
But you get what I'm saying, though.
Well, I was
but
first.
At some point.
Hold on, it was true because I was first in line. They were like, "Get your big tail in the back." I'm like, "Wow, the Bible don't be lying at all." But no, I mean, you're right though. You said the first should be last, last should be first. I think the Falcons have got a legit chance, and man, I know a lot of people
for a long time.
I know. I mean, honestly, last. Well, they haven't won it. They haven't won a ring. You know what I mean? They've had really good years.
When was the last time they won a ring?
No, they don't have any rings.
Period.
No, they don't have rings as a franchise. No, it's been 50. This is their 51st year. And they don't have a ring, so that's the reason why everybody knows.
Y'all gotta win.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm saying we because I'm from Riverdale.
Yeah, got to.
But other than that, y'all gotta win.
Yes,
I'm gonna write a letter to Tom Brady.
Do or die time right now. Like we're not, and honestly, the dude that got us here, the offensive coordinator. Like last time, see, a lot of old school people don't. A lot of old school people do remember when the Falcons actually went in 98. Yeah, 98. We didn't have the most prolific team on the planet. We did win enough games, and we made the right plays at the right time. And when we got to the Super Bowl, I think we didn't get off the bus, but we were happy that we got there. But this team right here is quite prolific. We broken several records. I think we scored the most points in NFL history, if I'm not mistaken. And the greatest show on turf, the Rams from back in the day, I think like the 2000 Rams or something like that.
The greatest show on turf.
The greatest show on turf. We actually outperformed them with points and yards per throw and yardage and all of that stuff, man. So it's actually pretty cool. So I'll be watching it. I'll definitely be watching the Super Bowl, standing up the whole time, like I'm actually there. I know a lot of people going out there to Houston, man. So a lot of people from the A. If y'all can go out there to Houston, make sure y'all safe and
there's some bros I'm trying to go.
Heck yeah. If y'all go, man, just let me know because I don't have any way to get there. Besides like teleporting like night crawlers. Like I really don't, man. But I just be safe out there in Houston if you're going out there to go, man. So shout out to the Falcons, man. Shout out to all the Patriots fans, Falcons fans, everybody
Patriot
that's going
Nation.
out there.
I would normally say stand up, but please just let us have I keep saying us.
Said let the Falcons have it.
But really, like, we got it sounds arrogant, but we got enough rings. Brady, if you retire, you done broke enough records to make everybody cry trying to defeat your records. So where I'm at right now is, bro, just come on.
Wow.
You got to let come on. Like, we can't. Brady, I understand he want to go out on top, but it's like, man, you can't take it all, man.
Right.
You can't take it all, and I'm an underdog rooter, root for her, and it just happens to be that the team that's from my city is going to the Super Bowl, and I'm extremely proud. Please get me to the point where I can actually wear a Falcons jersey.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. We ain't gonna win the game, and I will still wear that jersey. I don't be caring, man. I'm just one of them type of dudes. One thing about what you said about Tom Brady, one thing about this, if we win this game, it won't be because Tom Brady and Bill Belichick felt sorry, man. Those dudes, I would say, they do not care. Like if Brady's mom played defense, he was like, play action. Mom is a sucker for play action. Like he's like one of, he's like one of those types of dudes, man. He don't care. He finna score. You know what I mean? So I would think if we beat the Patriots, the best team, arguably in the NFL for history's sake, you know what I mean? Or the best, quote unquote, one of the best franchises or whatever. But if the Falcons show up and put those numbers up, man, it's going to be hard to not respect that. Because Belichick is not laying down. Brady sure is not laying down. And this is the year he has the biggest chip. It ain't even the chip. It's literally, he's holding like an NFL camel or something on his shoulders, man. He's literally personally going after teams when he's on that field. So I expect the best out of Brady when he gets there. But I know Matt Ryan and Julio and the whole crew, man. I think they're gonna, man. I know they're gonna show up, man. So I really appreciate their whole effort, and we're gonna root for them, man. Win, lose, or draw, man. We there, man. 8 times stand up. All right. So what we're gonna do right now, man? We're actually gonna talk about some things that a lot of people are concerned about, man. I know, just in case if you've been under a rock, we have a new president. Donald Trump is in office.
Trump.
Yep. And he's been quite busy for the last week or so. This has been like the first, 5 or 6 days of his presidency.
I'm not really educated on the topic.
Right. No. I'm just, he's president.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
I'll tell you my opinion. The opinions that you're going to get from me are going to be live me first time hearing.
Yeah. No, most definitely. But I just know a lot of people are concerned with a lot of the moves he's been making. I do know that he's had a couple of executive orders that were being pushed through. I'm not necessarily sure if they're going to be all the way, I guess, approved or pushed through or whatnot, but he's already signed an executive order to build a pipeline through that. I believe that's the Dakota pipeline that a lot of people were protesting late last year. And so there was an executive order for that. And I think as late as either yesterday or today, I think they're approving that they were going to build a wall around Mexico, on the border of Mexico and the United States that he was talking about throughout his campaign. A lot of people are saying that he said that the American taxpayer will pay for it first and then being reimbursed. But the people he said was going to reimburse us were like, I don't know what y'all talking about. So it's a lot of things that's going on right now. Yeah, man, it's just weird, man. But I know a lot of people, especially a lot of business owners and people are concerned about the affordable health care being repealed and being taken away. I know a lot of people are concerned about that. A lot of people are concerned about the money in their pockets. A lot of the jobs that either are going to be created or taken away. A lot of people just have a lot of feeling of uncertainty right now. So I think at the end of the day, I think people just need to be as informed as possible. At least look up some of the policies that's being pushed or signed or whatever. But a lot of things that one of the things I understand now, or that I'm realizing, is that the local policies. I know the presidency is like the most popular thing to be looking at right now. But a lot of states and counties and cities and things of that nature, they are pushing different policies that a lot of people may not be understanding or be aware of. So it'll be quite interesting to see what your local government is actually doing. All right. Sometimes we can be caught up in, what's on the news, but a lot of policies that get pushed through, man. A lot of laws get created overnight. A lot of policies get pushed while you're at work. and you may not understand it until now you got to pay, or now you got a penalty or whatever. So I think everyone involved, so at least just try to look up some things and try to find out exactly what's being passed, because right now I think panicking may not be the answer. I know that's a lot of response from a lot of different people. A lot of people are uncomfortable about Trump being in office because anything that a lot of people benefited from President Obama being in office, they are fearful that it's going to be taken away. Mm-hmm. One of the main things is health care.
Everybody's scared to death of that.
Right. So, and honestly, now I think it's not necessarily them taking away Obamacare, but not having a replacement, just leaving people out there to dry. So, I don't even really have a solution to it. I just don't think it would be the best thing to do to get rid of something without a replacement. So I don't know. But at least look into the information that's out there. Sometimes we get social media posts and some things on the news, and you click a article or something like that. It may be clear, it may not. You have no idea exactly what's going on. So try to look up the most credible sources as humanly possible and find out exactly how you will be affected. But one thing I am going to be trying to do is find out exactly what's going on in the state and in the city. That's one thing I'm going to try to do a little bit better of this year. All right. So Dale, what do you think about the politics? How do you see people reacting to everything that's been going on?
As of right now, I think a lot of people are like me, trying to figure out which way it's going to go. Mm-hmm. Some people are definitely like, doing their protest thing or whatever. Some people are, like you said, are really just afraid. I know what I've necessarily been hearing in my community is the fact that Trump is just going to start taking stuff away. Mm-hmm. I heard that, when I say I hear, I see on social media where people are talking about how food stamps and WIC and basically the social safety net mm-hmm. is going to have a whole lot bigger holes in it. It ain't going to be catching as many people.
Right.
So I think a lot of people are really just afraid. And then at the same time with the politics, the people who were for Trump, even in my community, mm-hmm. they're just like, okay, you're taking everything away. Mm-hmm. When are you going to get on this economics? Because that was one of his positive things.
Like creating jobs and stuff, right?
Creating jobs. That was one of the things that everybody was just like, oh my God, I really don't like how you're extreme in that area. Oh my God, you're going to give me money. Right. We're going to get jobs.
Right.
Maybe okay if you get jobs.
Money talks, man.
Yeah, so it's just like, okay, but a lot of people are like, oh, it just slipped my mind. I can't remember what it was. I don't know. I guess we can just move on. I'll come back to it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, but I think you made a valid point. A lot of people went away from the emotional attachment that they had to his statements throughout his.
Boom. There it is.
All right. There you go.
A lot of people were like, it's kind of cool because he's not a politician. A lot of people were so tired of the lawyers and the politicians and stuff like that, mm-hmm. where he's just like, well, I told you I was going to do it.
Right.
So it's just kind of more like, okay, well, a lot of his appeal was you kind of knew how he was mm-hmm. and who he really was, and he really didn't switch up too much after, he got the seat. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like, I don't know, I said this before, I'll say it again. I believe once you get sworn into office, they tell you things that there's no way you could have known before. Because every president looks completely different after they get sworn in, and then their next public appearance, they look like, oh my God.
Like they just saw Optimus Prime in the backyard shooting hoops.
Just
like, is that really Optimus? I thought it was a movie.
And they be looking like, and y'all don't even know.
That is so depressing and funny.
And if I tell y'all, I'll be dead before the morning.
Like just watching the dog drive a Cadillac. It was just like, I just saw something and you guys are not going to believe it, so I'm not going to say anything.
Exactly. Oh, if I did say something, hey, man. Other people's snipers can't get me, but our snipers can.
That's wild, man. That's wild. But I think for the most part, man, the mindset of people right now. One thing I do find out is that any emotional response, I don't benefit from any emotional response. I like to sit back and just see exactly what's going on. Mm-hmm. I do know, I mean, I went through elementary and middle school, man. So when people start calling people names and saying like disrespecting people, I knew throughout the, you know, campaign that, all right, he's appealing to an audience that like this type of stuff. I mean, if he's about to do politics, he's trying to get some votes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's going to be saying some things that's going to, you know, rock with the people that probably feel that way about the things he's been saying. So I knew what kind of he was doing. He was strategizing or whatnot. So now I'm not sure, or I don't even know if his same rhetoric, the same things he's saying, is it the same thing as he was saying when he was promoting his campaign, you know, because he was coming out saying all type of outlandish things about a whole bunch of different people, about women, about Hispanics, Latinos, black people, all across the board. He was just going ham, right? And so now I don't see him or hear him as much. I mean, I can't say that he hasn't said anything, but I haven't personally heard him go hard like he did on his campaign, especially as disrespectful. Now, I'm not saying that he hasn't, but I haven't seen him go as hard as he did while he was on his campaign. I did witness the Women's March, National Women's March, if I'm not mistaken. It was a lot of different marches across the nation for women's rights and women's right to speak and all of these different things about, the liberation of women across the world, honestly. But I know a lot of the marches happened in the United States, and so a lot of people were very vocal about what Trump was doing and what he said, and you know how he's xenophobic, homophobic, racist, all these different things. And I think what he was doing on his campaign actually struck a nerve for a lot of people. Right. And I think it triggered an emotional response. And one thing I realized in my life, man, anytime when someone triggers an emotional response, man, you really can't really pay attention to what they're actually doing if you're just responding because of how you felt. You know what I mean? True. And so right now, I ain't gonna lie to you, if you really look at how he's conducting himself now, he's signing papers and he's not cursing, he's not doing all those different things he was doing in the campaign. He's calmly just signing stuff, you know. And a lot of times yeah, exactly. So it's a lot of emotional responses. And I'm not saying that it's not normal, but I mean I'm not saying that it's not normal, but pay attention, I would say. You know, there's nothing wrong with being upset, but be upset and find out, you know what I'm saying, exactly what's going on, the details of it. And because honestly, some of this stuff may be quite unfortunate for a large group of people, but us just being upset is not upset only is not going to get us anywhere. One of the biggest conversations that I've heard recently was economic responsibility, especially when it comes to black people and the role of the black male in our economic system. I know a lot of people are talking about just group economics, that black people across the nation need to come together and put their money together and build their own industry, their own schools, their own businesses.
We can't never do that because we always think that one person is trying to out-scam the other person. And I grew up hearing that a lot. Not to cut you off. I grew up hearing that a lot because my dad be like, hey, don't go over there to the black folk. Go to the dealership and get that fixed. Cause them black folk there, they cut corners. And we cut corners. I'm like, Dad, you black. And you're a mechanic. Yeah, but I don't cut corners. But they gonna cut corners. I promise you.
And honestly, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. That cultural self-doubt comes from a place. You know what I mean? Just to doubt a person just because they're black. And you're black itself. That could be a possibility of self-hatred some kind of way, and it could be economic, just like it could just be, educational. Like you just think black people are this and black people that, and it's black people just assuming it. Mm-hmm. So one thing we got to do is just find out how we actually feel about ourselves before we even try to make any moves, because psychologically, man, it's a lot of things that we have to fix in ourselves personally. I think exactly. Yeah, I know sometimes I sit at home and just be like, all right, so how am I thinking? Some of the things that I say and I think and I do, how is that going to actually affect my whole well-being on this planet, and how other people are going to be affected by that? I think self-accountability is a really cool way to free yourself. I think it may be the only way to free yourself is to make sure that you're doing your part, not only to make sure you don't, harm other people, but make sure that you're actually contributing. You know what I mean? Just sitting there and making sure that you are thinking about starting a business, or that you are thinking about at least investing in a business. One thing I realized too is a lot of us, and I don't know how true this is, but I've been told that the African American or black involvement in the stock market is not as high as it could be. A lot of people are not very familiar with the stock market for whatever reason, been told to stay away from it or whatever, or just not have been properly educated about the stock market. But that's something that I'm actually looking into, and different ways to actually help your money work for you. So a lot of people are trying to explore different options of how to free themselves, because honestly, if a lot of the safety nets that you mentioned earlier are beginning to be cut away, there could be a blessing in that. I'm not trying to just throw that under the rug like it's the best thing that's going to happen for us. However, when you no longer have you no longer have to depend on something, you can be self-sufficient. So there's a good opportunity for us to be strong as a people. What you think?
I just feel like as a people, you're right. It does come down to the self-accountability or whatever. But I think that we just need to have a strong example of a group of people within our culture working together. And even when I just said that, I realized how flawed it was, because we do have a group of people working together in our culture. We have all kind of historically African American fraternities and sororities. We have Masons. We have societies of black engineers. But the problem is finding a way to make all of our different groups cohesive in the same movement. And as far as at the end of the day, like you said, it comes down to self-accountability and education. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily in the school system, but it's like we really got to find where that deep-seated distrust is within our people.
Right.
Why it's there, how it survives.
'Cause it's there.
And how do we conquer that? Because apparently everybody else whose cultures who working together, they're thriving even in times of poverty and you know what I'm saying, in recession. They're still thriving, they're still surviving these times. And it just seems like every time it's an economic situation of where it impacts the population negatively, our people take it the worst.
Right.
But at the same time, when you look at us, we're the most talented, I wouldn't say well put together at all the times, but we have the most benefits within our culture and really the strength spiritually and physically. So why are we at the bottom of the totem pole?
Right.
It's definitely very, very much so mental.
Right. I think
that block.
And one thing about that idea of ourselves, we got to really understand that it doesn't come out of nowhere. It is not innate that we're supposed to hate ourselves. That some of that stuff is programmed to the T, man. I mean, it's centuries worth of just fear and hate and doubt of anyone with dark skin. I mean, we have to really just acknowledge that and acknowledge, what actually seeped into our brains and how we perpetuate that type of stuff. And that's the only way we're going to actually get through it. I was reading a new book that is extremely powerful. It's a book that I saw Boris Watkins the other day mentioned, and that he suggested everybody to read, especially coming up with all these things that's about to start changing economically for a lot of people of color, or black people, period. It's a book called Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. It's a search for power and economic justice. And Claude Anderson is a very brilliant brother. I've seen him on YouTube quite a lot. He's been on several shows talking about black economics and how black people can actually build themselves their own not civilization, but their own industry, their own communities, and their own politics, honestly, like voting as a block and putting your money where your mouth is actually. I heard him say on a video that a lot of us, we have the voicing aspect down packed, but we don't put our money where our voice is. Like we may go speak, we may go, we may go put our vote, we may go out there and share on social media and hit the phone, hit the phones and say, hey, we have someone running, you need to go vote for this person. But where is the money actually going? How can you tell where the black dollar is? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so he was just talking about voting in the block, and I wanted to read something out of his book. And for some of you all who have not ever heard of this book, it's called Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. I want to read a excerpt out of here real quick. He was talking about, it's on page 25 in his book, and he was just talking about the death of the black civil rights movement and where it actually kind of left a lot of people at the end.
Okay.
And he was talking about we had a lot of momentum gaining through that civil rights movement, especially black people being heavily involved and then not being confused if black people were going to benefit from some of the movement, you know what I mean? So he went on to talk about that, how some of the movement was being diluted. And on purpose too. So I want to read this and get your thoughts on it. And when I read this, ladies and gentlemen, you listening in, you can call and give your 2 cents, man. 912-478-7364. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 7364. 912-478-7364. All right. And it's on page 25 and Black Labor, White Wealth. If you're on Facebook Live, you can see the cover of the book right here, and it's on page 25. It says, as the other groups began to take away from blacks' control of the civil rights agenda, conservative political forces started using their government and media power to diminish the black component of the civil rights movement. They successfully destroyed the legitimate base of the black movement by diluting the movement beyond recognition. They identified every group that could possibly perceive itself as aggrieved and made it equal to blacks. Thus, the public perception of blacks was severely damaged and distorted. That's what you were talking about earlier, that just the whole image, don't trust black people. They're only going to be doing this, that, and other.
It's the self-hate.
Right, and it's the self-hate through marketing. It's mindset marketing as well, because that idea has to be perpetuated, and it has to be exposed on a consistent basis. It says, thus the public perception of blacks was severely damaged and distorted. The unique problems that they faced were made to appear no more important than the problem faced by other so-called victims of discrimination. So a lot of people don't understand that a lot of things that were going to happen for black people when they start making up different terms like minority, it kind of washed over a lot of the issues that black people were specifically dealing with. And instead of black people being a minority, other minorities were created. Other minorities were created, especially after that movement. It says the black civil rights movement, though spectacularly successful in many respects, had at least 4 major flaws that diminished the accomplishments of the movement and left critical imperatives for black America. Now, this gets pretty deep. He says the movement's black leadership focused its entire weight of resources on achieving integration. You remember we talked about integration last semester on the show, about that whole word was kind of confusing. Like everyone was using the word integration, but a lot of people weren't clear on what the definition was.
Yeah, because you can integrate, but that doesn't mean that what you've integrated is equal on both sides.
At all. He said they believed, perhaps naively, that by removing all the symbols of Jim Crowism and acquiring access to various segments of white society, black people would gain equality. So it's basically integration was like playing craps. Like we were gambling with integration, hoping for a better life, better economic life as well. It says black. He goes, and the second bullet was black leaders failed to focus on neutralizing the forces behind Jim Crowism or developing effective strategies for black America to use in dealing with the problems that spring forth from the maldistribution and racist control of wealth, power, and resources in America. So what a lot of times people don't understand, when we are looking for quote unquote integration, or we're looking for economic equality, what he's saying right here, and this is what I got from him, I'm not going to say what he's saying. He said what he said, but what I got from this was when we're so busy trying to get a leg up, we're not even concentrating on what's taking our legs from under us in the first place. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so there's so many barriers. It's a reason why we're looking for equality, because something has to be there to make sure we're staying unequal. But we don't ask those specific questions. We're just trying to get there instead of trying to ask what's holding us back. And I think that's a very, very important question to ask. The third bullet says they failed to develop a long-term national plan with goals and strategies spelling out where blacks ought to be going and how best to get there.
Well, I tell y'all, I've never read this book, but he basically said everything I said in a more developed way.
Exactly. And I'm not, I've heard him say this on YouTube and several other places that I've seen his speeches, and he was writing up, if I'm not mistaken, he wrote a proposal for reparations for black people that has been consistently been ignored by a lot of administrations. And so he has economic plans, but a lot of people don't know about the barriers that lay in the wayside for black people. And so it's not just a lot of people are being lazy or a lot of people just don't want to know. And see, that's the myth. That's the thing. That is the commercial that everybody wants to believe, that black people are not looking after themselves. But it's plenty of people, plenty of black people, economic geniuses who have devised plans and submitted proposals that are consistently ignored. You know what I mean? There are several people who own their own businesses who want the same loans as other businesses. They want to thrive, but they are strategically denied access to resources. So a lot of times when we start thinking about like personal credibility or integrity or the will to work hard, sometimes we get caught up in, well, they must not be trying. But if we're not careful, we don't even see what people are actually going through in their specific situation. I know sometimes we may see a homeless person and say, hey, that person must be lazy. Why would you want to be homeless? We have a very bad habit, especially in this country. If we're coming from a place of, this country is quote unquote rich to some, depending on who you ask. You know what I mean? We have a lot of resources or whatnot. So when you see someone not having resources and you get all these different places with all these riches, all this abundance of food, and you got some people over there hungry, the marketing that we've been exposed to in this country for so long, it'll make us add up that something that person did was wrong and they are punished for it. They must be lazy. They must have didn't do something right in order to be in that situation. But we have no idea what story that person has.
Sometimes we do that to ourselves.
Exactly.
We can sit there and work and earn and educate ourselves, and you like, you know what, it must be something about me,
right,
that I'm not appealing when I walk into this job.
Exactly. And so sometimes you can fire yourself before you even apply, just because of how people perceive you in your entire life. That's the reason why the mindset is so important. The things that we believe, we're going to have to start being responsible for. I think the negative attention that black people, especially black males, recently have been getting, we will not be able to stop what other people are saying, but we can stop what we believe and we can stop what we perpetuate. But I don't think we'll ever be able to stop negative energy, because negative energy has been here since the beginning of time, in my opinion. I mean, I wasn't here, but that's my guess. You know what I mean? And, but negative energy provides the balance, and I think sometimes, man, at the end of the day, I know sometimes equality and balance are a little different depending on what you're doing. And I think the balance is what we're trying to figure out. Because you can be balanced, man, but the one side can be heavy than the other from time to time. But I think we just need to make sure we're figuring out and focusing on the things that actually matter. Because there's so many things that's out here that's about to distract us. And there's a lot of things out here that's purposely trying to tap into our emotions. And if we only dig into our emotions without strategizing and logically looking at the situation, we're always going to be behind the 8 ball, man. We just are. The last bullet he said right here, he says, in addition, black leaders fail to construct a national network of institutions to train new generations of blacks who could successfully assume leadership positions and implement a national plan for black empowerment. In the last paragraph, he said, the combined effect of these 4 major failures left the black civil rights movement with no place to go, no way to get there, and no leadership to take them. And so I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I mean, let's be honest, and I'm like I said before, man, I'm in no way, shape, form, or fashion to critique anybody from the civil rights movement. I wasn't there. I can't say what I would have done. You know what I mean? I wasn't there. I respect the attempt that a lot of people had. A lot of people risked their lives on a daily basis, sacrifice, walk plenty of miles just to, take a stand for self-respect. You know what I mean? Instead of riding the bus that they were going to be degraded on, a lot of them decided to walk on their own 2 feet until people understood that they were not supposed to be treated less than human. You know what I mean? However, I mean, if the gentleman that I just read out of his book, if he's correct, we're going to have to build on what was not successfully done in the past. And I'm not critiquing them. I don't have the authority to critique people that actually built bridges for me to do what I'm doing at the moment. But I do have to be accountable to acknowledge what's still missing, and that I need to find out what holes that I can plug while I'm on this planet. You know what I mean? I know a lot of us, we got power to do something. We just need to find out exactly what it is. So if it's economics, if it's education, if it's counseling, if it's self-defense, man, like we really have to just sit here and put up or shut up. This is put up or shut up time, man. I honestly too, I know a lot of, I was talking in the barbershop the other day, and honestly, this is one of the best times to be in a black barbershop. If you don't have any cable, don't worry. Go to your nearest black barbershop and just have a seat and get entertained, man. It's about to go down in there. But a lot of people, and I say this to myself, man, I know when Trump won, emotions were high. A lot of people were upset. But for some strange reason, I was calm. I thought I was going to be upset. I wasn't too hell-bent on both parties. Both candidates, both of the major candidates. It was other candidates that ran, but I really wasn't hell bent on both of them. I wanted to see how it planned out, and I just knew, regardless of who won, they were not coming to help me. And I'm not saying that they were bad people or they were just not going to do anything, but the mindset that I was going into it, no matter who takes office, man, I still got to get up tomorrow and be about this business. You know what I'm saying? I need to find out exactly where my grind is going to be, if it's actually going to be in a place that's going to provide benefits for me and the people that I love. Am I actually going to grow from it? You know what I'm saying? Am I planting good seeds on this planet? So one day, the fruit that bears from it, that I can actually eat it instead of being allergic to it. Because a lot of people are planting seeds to fruit that they're allergic to, and a lot of people don't know it either. A lot of people are putting a lot of time and energy into things that are not, I would say, worth the energy, time, and attention that we're doing it. And we all fall a victim to it. Hell, I fall a victim to it on a daily basis. But I think it's one of those reality checks we have to do every morning when we get up and saying, what is distracting me? What are some of the things that I'm paying attention to that's draining me? What am I like? And, I listen to a lot of Neely Fuller. Neely Fuller Jr., he has a book that you can buy on producejustice.com, I believe. And he talks about on a daily basis having constructive thought, speech, and action at all times. If whatever you're doing, it has to be building something. Like even if you're not doing anything, is it trying to build something? Are you resting because your body needs to rebuild itself? Or are you just sitting there just wasting time? You know what I mean? Is that the best way to actually combat all of this stuff that's going on is just making sure you're producing something at every time of the day, man. So I don't know. I mean, do you have any personal goals this year or some of the things that you're trying to overcome? Any type of new avenues you're trying to explore?
Yeah, mine is definitely confidence, social confidence that I'm trying to overcome. Okay. Academics. Right now, I know I've already told y'all that I'm taking these 20 hours. I've never really taken over 14, period. Okay. Really, not even that. Probably about 13. Okay. So taking 8 classes is challenging in itself. That, working, being the radio station manager, being active within the fraternity, it's taxing. And then a lot of the personal stuff that I'm going through that got me down and out. Where I'm at right now is I'm just like, hey, at the end of the day, I want to look back and be like, man, you had some kind of strength to go through what you go through, and still, come out like on top. My goal is I'm gonna walk across that stage in May.
For sure.
And I'm definitely going to have gold boots on, and they're probably going to be like, what is going on? But there's going to be so many people that they're not going to say anything. And that's kind of what I'm using as my motivation to get through it all, to have certain traditions be upheld, especially after graduation. With my fraternity or whatever, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to going to grad school, actually. But I need a certain GPA to get there. And I won't have it if I'm not successful,
right.
This semester. So I'm just that and keeping God, first in my life. I can honestly say going through some of the things I'm going through, and also, just life in general, you find yourself, looking up and crying, like asking, what is the purpose of your pain? But pain, it breaks down what's necessary to break down, and it reshapes what's left.
That's real.
So I'm just hoping that at the end of the day, that this pain has a purpose for something great in my life, and not just a lesson in itself.
Right.
So that's where I'm at.
One thing that helped me out as well is thinking of how we think about pain, just like you just got finished saying. Pain is not only a reminder that something is wrong, but it also presents an opportunity to correct something and build on something. You know what I mean? Pain also lets you know that you're still alive. And that's one of the most positive ways I can look at pain. Some of our disappointments cause immense amounts of pain, large amounts of pain, and a lot of people experience a shutdown from it because it may be so devastating they really can't just see themselves out of it. We had a Statesboro showcase last night, and we had a couple of people talking about how hard a year that they were actually having, to the point where they were taking medication for depression. You know what I mean? They were on so much medication that they were kind of out of it, and the medication was just doing so much to them, and it was actually making things a little bit worse. And I think, and the most beautiful thing about it is artwork and creativity. One of the best ways to fill a void is to create something. And I think, and honestly, I believe the Bible, talks about this too. There was a great void. That's the reason what sparked creation in itself. Something that is missing is always going to produce some type of pain. And I think pain is trying to let us know that if something is lacking, something is missing, and they're letting you know that you have the opportunity to fix it. You have an opportunity to pray for it. You have an opportunity to plan for it, and you have every opportunity to progress for it. So it's totally up to us, man. Like, it's not one of those things like, oh, man, you're just going through it, man, it'll be all right. A lot of people won't know it'll be all right.
It's really, what?
A lot of people won't know it'll be all right, man. So sometimes you just gotta, and I know a lot of times we don't know what to say to people who are going through a lot. I think what we can do is at least respect what they're saying, and just say, man, anytime you just want to tell me what you're going through, just let me know. But I have no idea how to put you through it. Only thing I know is how I feel that I can support you if you would like for me to support you in that manner. But a lot of people are dealing with different things, man. And I think everybody's trying to search for themselves. A lot of people are trying to find themselves, trying to find God. They're trying to find something. Because if you're trying to find something, that means somebody's missing. If you send out a search,
anything.
Yeah. If you're trying to, I put like this, and let's just be honest with it. If you're trying to find yourself, that means you realize you've been missing the whole time. And
wow.
That is. I mean, not trying to be super duper deep or nothing like that, but we all go through that little journey. Like, honestly, I woke up the other day. I had a real bad day the other day. I woke up and I was like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Oh, like just asking yourself, because sometimes you can get caught up in, what you're doing is building something. You know what it is, but the expectations of the world. Because I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. Your mindset is being attacked 24/7. A lot of people may not understand that, and a lot of people may not believe it, but it's cool. I think people need to understand that the things that we see on TV, the things that we listen to, and the conversations we hear are a complete and consistent onslaught of just violence on our brains. And I'm not saying that everything is negative, but you'd be surprised how many subliminal messages that your brain get hit with all day, every day, of you not being good enough, you not looking a certain kind of way, you not having this by now, you not having that by now. And by the time one day you'll be happy one day and you'll get up one day and be like, man, I have nothing. My life sucks. But you don't even know where that comes from. You know what I mean?
You don't.
You really just have no idea. That's why,
always got somebody looking at your life like, man, I wish I had this problem.
Right. And you know what I'm saying? So now I will put like this, man. Like my grandma tells me all the time, man, like especially when I was growing up, she used to tell me, man, she's like, baby, you know, the devil take everything except breaks. And I'm like, you know, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, that means he's not going to stop, or that negative energy, you know, even if you believe the devil exists or not, that negative energy or those negative comments or those negative thoughts, they don't take breaks. They don't sit back and like, well, you know, it's a rough time. Let me not mess with him right now. No, those negative comments beat you over the head all the time. And ladies and gentlemen, I put like this. If you have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of possible negative images, negative messages, negative songs, negative commercials, negative conversations with the people in your life, you need to take a few minutes out of every day and make sure that it's not being attacked. And I don't even know if you're going to be able to really like balance it out, but you can at least stop it from crushing you. You know what I mean?
True.
It's going to be very important for us to not allow a lot of people and a lot of things that's happening in this world to break our spirits and break our mind. A lot of people are losing it. And we can see it. And, you know, I know a lot of people are kind of nervous. A lot of people kind of scared. And some people have honestly stopped caring. I've seen it. You know,
that's the easiest way out.
Easiest way out. And some people are just nonchalant. Just everything's going down the drain anyway. So why try? And I'm like, you know, and I can't look down on the person because I've been in low places before where I got
friends in low places.
Right. You know what I mean? So we've all had those days where we're like, why are we even trying, man? We down 48-0 in the fourth quarter. Why are we running the ball? Like, you know what I'm saying? At this point, coach, you're just being a jerk.
When does Madden rules come into effect?
Skunk rule. Like, you know, and you know what's funny, man? A lot of people in their life, and a lot of people regarding their life right now are asking for the skunk rule. They're just really saying, look, I've been taking L's for a vast majority of my life, man. I really just want to just walk off the court. You know? And a lot of times we need to understand that type of feeling and where it's coming from, because we can't sit there and nurture that feeling, man. That's a dangerous feeling, you know? I know a lot of us, we have low moments. I know, and all of this stuff that's going on, all this roller coaster when it comes to all these politics and all these things on social media. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. It's gonna be some days that you're gonna have to make sure you don't watch social media or don't get into it, because I ain't gonna lie to you. You can be scrolling, it can be motivational, be real cool. Then something pops off and you be like, dang, they just took my energy down a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It gets really weird. It gets really strange, and we all are gonna have to start policing what we allow into our brains. What did you see?
It's so hard. I'm just saying, like, that's one of the hardest things in the world.
Yeah.
Because it's not something you can really just filter, because you're scrolling down like your timeline and it's just like, bam, there it is. Mm-hmm. Bam, there it is. Like people who be like, for example, those things that be like, and I'm gonna say this because this personally bothers me. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 90s baby, no kids. Mm-hmm. 90s baby, no kids. And it's just like, okay. And then there's people who, stuff that bothers other people. 90s babies, no kids, no criminal record, got a job. Mm-hmm. And you be like, so everybody who don't, and sometimes it fits you. Now, both of those don't necessarily fit me. But what I'm saying is, when you see something like that fits you, you just be like, wow, this is on here amongst my peers, and it's spread to me. So it's some truth to it. You automatically believe it as a truth, even though it's just somebody that took 15 seconds and put it on a picture. But you be like, wow, this is what my generation thinks. Or like, for example, I'm gonna share one that actually bothered me. If you haven't found nobody by the time you're 24, come to the grips with you're gonna be a step parent.
God, really?
I'm like, oh my God. And in my case, I'm just like, well, it's true for me. But I'm just like, wow, somebody is really that bad to be a step parent. Man. And then, oh my God, and then another one that bothers me. Oh my God, it is such a blessing to find a man with no kids. I'm just like, so I'm not worth anything anymore because I have a child.
Yeah, they could do it. I seen them going. Yeah, people
Really?
with children get drugged through the mud. Like, I've seen it. I've definitely seen it.
Like it's to the point where it's depressing me because I know that I'm a good man. I know that I'm worthy of being loved. These things I know, but it's at the same time it's discouraging when I finally get to that point where I want to go out there and try again. I'm kind of like, well, pretty much I'm trash to everybody now. Because I am a black male with a quote-unquote baby mother. I don't call her that. I call her the mother of my son, regardless of the issues that we have. But I'm considered trash or a last resort because I have a son. And that's discouraging.
And I think, too, well, and just like we just got finished talking about how we need to police the things that we see. And sometimes we can't help what we see, but we can help how we interpret it. You know what I mean? I think, too, that a lot of the things negatively that's being said about all of us, no matter what our situations are, it boils back to we're going to have to be very, very responsible for what we believe. You know what I mean? So say, for instance, if somebody mentions a characteristic that I have and say, if you have this, you'll never, ever make it in life, right? And so now, in the point of my life, I just know that those comments are actually going to be said no matter what I have going on. You know what I mean? But now, once that person says that or posts that or shares that on social media or on a commercial or something like that, once that commercial goes off or after I scroll up that timeline and that person is no longer on my timeline in my sight, what I carry with me is now my responsibility.
Indeed.
That's mine. So if I take it with me and say, well, dang, I mean, my life is going to be in shambles. I'm responsible for believing that nonsense. And that person right now, only thing, sometimes people just be trying to be funny. People just share something, just be sharing it. But then you got people who hold on to it and hold that grudge. I talked to a group of students today, and we were talking about holding grudges. And a lot of people don't understand the person that holds the grudge is the only one working. And sometimes that grudge is very, very heavy. We had a scenario where holding a grudge is almost equivalent to holding a stack of books with on one arm over someone's head that you hold a grudge against, right? And that person, they don't know you're holding that stack of books over their head. They're just going on about their business, but you're sweating, you're cramping up, you're in pain, you're mad, and you're wasting time just to hold something over someone else's head.
True.
You know what I mean? And the only time you have to do is to move on with your life is drop that weight. You don't necessarily have to drop the memory, but that attention that we're giving to people that have hurt us, that's going to have to slow down. You know, we're living in the age now, and I'm going to be honest with you, we're living in an age now where it's actually cool. It has been really communicated that it's cool to publicly disrespect someone.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we do live in that age.
And I'm not going to lie to you, man, if especially black men, you know, right now it's just open season. We've been attacked by a lot of people, damn near everybody, you know. And if we respond to each and every insult, we ain't going to have enough energy to do what we're supposed to be doing.
True.
That's just being honest. We don't have the energy or the time to respond to every negative thing that's being said about us. We're going to have to just acknowledge that it exists and take our minds, man, and put them together and just keep working. Now, I'm not saying that you're supposed to accept bad treatment. Not saying that you're supposed to live under anybody or just be subject to treatment. Not saying that. But any and everything that people do and say towards you to make you feel bad, a lot of that stuff don't need to be validated with your attention and your time.
True.
It just doesn't. A great man said that, whatever you starve will die. And so all this negative energy.
Whatever you starve.
Whatever you starve will die. You know what I mean? So a lot of things that we're feeding, we're going to have to close the kitchen on it. No lie.
That is so true.
No lie, man. It's things that's draining us. It's things that are breaking our families up. It's things that's making our jobs horrible. It's things that are breaking up our relationships. Hell, it's just breaking up our goals, honestly.
Indeed.
And some of the things that we're thinking about and giving attention to. I mean, I know some people who still holding grudges for people in high school and middle school and undergrad and stuff like that. Still holding on to people. But hey, to each his own. But if you don't get anything out of it, if you don't benefit from it, you may want to cease on actually doing it. All right.
True.
So, man, you want to take a quick break real quick?
We could definitely take a quick break.
We've been on pretty straight.
We've been on for a long time.
So we'll be right back. But remember to call in. We're going to be monitoring the phone calls. We want to hear from you and what you think about what we've been talking about recently. We've been talking about economics. We've been talking about positive mental capabilities, all of that good stuff, man. So if you got anything to say, if you want to have a comment, question, concern, whatever, 912-478-7364. We're located in Statesboro, GA with 91.9 The Buzz. Big Dog, take us out, man.
And it's better that way.
Yes, sir.
History remembers kings. God bless you all.
Yeah. I don't mean to burn you. It's just
And we're back on WVGS 91.9 The Buzz. This is Manhood Mindset. And I'm Dale from Riverdale.
Man, it's just, you're a natural at it. It's just what it is, bro.
I actually want to be an announcer more than a radio personality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can do both, but that announcer is just in you, bro. It's just in you. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about some economic empowerment and how our mindsets are going to be moving on in 2017. A lot of things that we've been talking about today stem from trying to make sure that we handle our distractions. And the most, I'm sorry if y'all couldn't hear me, my mic was off. But if y'all are allowing distractions to kind of get you off your game, you know what I mean? A lot of the things that we are talking about, and I've been a part in a lot of conversations about a lot of black people bringing their wealth together and being more economically sound and educated. And I think it is very important for us to find out exactly how people are actually using their money for economic empowerment and economic freedom. I was reading this book from Dr. Claude Anderson earlier about black labor and white wealth, and he was talking about some of the ways that the civil rights movement left some things unturned, at the very end. But he also has a section called Conservative Forces, the Bane of Black Society, and is under a section called The Nature of the Problem. And something that's very, very interesting is he said conservative social forces are the protectors of the status quo and the good old days. After using government to amass wealth, power, and resources, conservative white power structures have long espoused socio-political policies that reflect their pull-up-the-gangplank mentality. Powerful white conservatives profess commitment to capitalism and insist that wealth stays in the hands of the private, wealthy class, which has most benefited from the inequalities in the system. They rigidly oppose any societal changes regarding race and resources. This places them in direct opposition to and in conflict with blacks. Conservatism, of course, comes from the root word to conserve or hold on to what one has. In essence, the conservative attitude towards blacks is, if you do not have it, we are not going to let you get it. When considering what should be done for black people, conservatives have espoused a role and solution for blacks that has not changed an iota since the country was founded. Conservatives believe in a natural ordering of human beings and have always preferred that blacks play a servile role in society. So a lot of times that we don't understand the treatment that we have on this planet, because the belief system of a lot of people are that certain people are inferior, and some people base that inferiority on skin color. All right. So a lot of times that when we doubt ourselves and that mental confusion that we all have of that self-cultural hate, where we see a black person and we automatically doubt them or have some type of ill-advised idea about their capabilities, that is specifically planted in all of our minds. Believe you mean that all feelings that we have towards ourselves and each other, especially black people and especially black men, have been planted. We had to learn this type of information. We had to learn this, and it has been repeated so often that to the point where we just don't trust each other, and it's confusing. A lot of times that when we see each other, we see either competition or we see someone who's actually trying to stop us from doing something great. In actuality, we're not even competing. We're in the same spot. We're not even on the opposite ends. We're actually on the same side, looking in the same direction, but we're so bothered by each other that we might be competing, but we're not. A lot of us need to realize that the enemy, some of that is within us, but the enemy, it ain't us. You know what I mean? I think sometimes the enemy's point of view and their perception lives in our minds. And one of the main ways we're going to get up out of this thing is find out how our minds have been manipulated and are continuing to be manipulated by outside forces. The things you read, the things you see, the things you listen to. I was listening to Neely Fuller Jr. on YouTube the other day. He was on Talktainment Radio, and he was talking about the entertainment industry. And he was talking about how the entertainment industry actually focuses in on, if you really look at any entertainment that is allowed, especially anything that is making money or exposing black culture, if you really want to look at it, some of the most financially backed, and I'm not going to say only supported, but the most financially backed art form is the art form that is killing black males and degrading black women. So at the end of the day, those two individuals, I would say, focal points in our community are being degraded. One is dying, one is being manipulated as a sexual object. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times we're thinking we're enjoying it and we're thinking we're having a good time. But the subliminal messages and all of those different things that we listen to, they take its toll. We sit there and you'd be surprised how often that you hear a song to the point where you start rapping it. You start going along with it. You start singing it. And it gets to the point now where you used to dodge that song, but now you're almost requesting it. Now it's your song. And some of the things that we have to understand now is that the things that we listen to, we're going to have to be accountable for that too. Not only the things that we believe, but the people you're listening to. We can't keep blaming low self-esteem on what people said to us and what's being said about us. In order for us to make this mental shift, we really going to have to start being responsible for, you know what? I listened to that. All right. I went on to that news show and I know that they put black people in a situation where we just look like we're incompetent or ignorant or violent or something like that. I purposely look at that show. You're going to have to take responsibility for it. And so at the end of the day, you know, we're going to have to make a mind shift. We're going to have to be accountable for it, and especially us as black men. If you're a black man and you're listening right now, I want you to hear me loud and clear. Right now, we have no earthly idea who has who has plans for us. And what I say plans, meaning, like we said earlier, a lot of people have studied us. A lot of scientists and a lot of just sociologists have looked at our culture and our community, and they know how we react on certain things. We're going to have to really try to make a valid effort to be on code, meaning that all the things that we always react to and all the things that we constantly just have a knee-jerk reaction to it, and it always has our mindset and always gets our attention, we're going to have to practice on a daily basis to not let it happen. Not going to lie to you, man, especially with our women. The black family, I believe, and this is just my opinion, I think the black family is the nucleus of our turnaround. I think we're going to have to make a valid effort to start creating families again. And it's not necessarily just your family has to look a certain way, but it just has to be established. Like everybody don't have to have a home. They can have an apartment. So just as long as you got a roof. And I think the generation that we're going to try to raise up and the people that we're trying to bring into this planet, they're going to need a roof because it's about to rain. And we're going to have a lot of children looking at us and seeing, okay, if these are my elders, I'm going to see how they're going to treat this situation and how they're going to treat us, to see how I'm going to treat them when they get too old to fight. And it's going to be very, very important, man. Everybody watching, you know. And the funny part about this is this whole situation we're in, everybody's watching everybody. But I can only say what, you know, the group that I guess I'm a part of is, you know, African Americans, black, but I'm also a part of a nation of people that wants to see people thrive, regardless of what my skin tone is. And one thing about this race thing that we're going to have to understand is that race is a game. It's not an actual biological thing. You know what I mean? It's a class system based off what you look like, man. And, you know, if you really pick up a black book and you consider yourself black, those colors are not the same. You know, black is a team that we've been drafted on, and you didn't even get a chance to pick it. But if you're going to play, we're going to have to play to win. And it looks like this race thing is not going to be over anytime soon. So it looks like if we're going to be forced to play this game, we're going to need a team. And right now, being individualistic and, you know, self-hating and self-doubting, that right there has not gotten us in a lot of good places. So I think at the end of the day, the self-accountability that we must have, it has to go up another notch. What are you doing to contribute to your society? What are you doing to build your family? Some of the things that we're going to have to do too is make a plan to communicate with our women. Just being honest. And right now, both of us are getting it. All right. Both of us are getting ripped to shreds in society, period. But I think at the end of the day, if you don't get along with one, get along with another one. You know what I'm saying? I think what we're going to have to get out of that whole thing of, all right, this one did something, so all of them must be like that. I think that's tired. I think it's outdated, and I think it's detrimental. And plus, honestly, we don't benefit from it. So I think too, a lot of people need to understand that people build homes out of the material from our broken homes. The black broken home, man, is not a mistake. There's been several things put into place to make sure a lot of fathers are not in the homes.
Bro.
There are things put in place and you're not tripping. You know what I mean? You're not just making things up. If the father's not there, it's not because he doesn't want to be there. That's not in all cases. Now, you got
one more time.
You got some exceptions out there. You got some people out there that say, you know, I got kids and I don't want to be there. However, there is something natural about seeing your seed running around this planet and wanting to be around it. So don't believe the hype that everybody is around here just not caring about their children. There are systems put in place to make sure that the man is not inside of the household. There are systems put in place to make sure our family structure is flipped. And honestly, if we keep falling for that bait, if we keep attacking each other, and if we keep destroying our own homes with the tools that someone that doesn't even live with us gives us, we're going to have to take responsibility for that. Just being honest. So I think, since I'm mentioning that, I really want to help people get their families back. And it doesn't have to be the perfect family. It doesn't have to be your stereotypical family, but it has to at least be one that you can identify, saying, you know what, this is my family. Because I ain't going to lie to you, there's a lot of people out there saying, I ain't got no family. A lot of people. So I think we got some work to do. It starts with the mind first, and if we make up our mind, we can make up our future. That's how I believe, man. What you think, big dog?
Are you referring to relationships between men and women?
Yeah, you can rock on that.
Are you referring to...
Yeah, between men and women. You can rock on that.
Man, honestly, I think that we have to stop teaching our children that the opposite gender is the enemy. We really need to stop doing that.
If we're going to have a chance at a family.
If we're going to have a chance at a functional family, that's the basis of it. Because if I speak from my perspective, then I'm going to be speaking from the perspective that women are the enemy. If another educated, successful woman speaks from her perspective, it's a possibility that in some form of her life, she has been taught to survive without us. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I know growing up, my father taught me, okay, yeah, it's really about what you can do for a woman, not your value or your personality or what you bring to the table besides monetary gain. Mm-hmm. And, from what I've heard, the female friends that I have, they kind of validate the fact that a man is considered a certain thing, but at the same time, they're taught that, hey, girl, you don't need him. So until we get past that superficial surface definition of what a man and what a woman is, or what they're supposed to innately provide or be, mm-hmm. I think we'll be okay. And we're getting to that point where gender roles are becoming obsolete. But at the same time, it's putting and I'm trying to communicate this effectively. You can't make gender roles obsolete partially. And like I said, and I'm kind of rambling a little bit, we need to start off first of all with it being the opposite sex is not the enemy. No, he's not going to do you wrong or use you up. No, she's not going to use you and take all your money. Not in every single case. Don't be no fool, but don't go into a relationship with that hurt mentality. Like you were saying earlier, that everybody going to do the same thing. Because what you end up doing, you end up robbing the person who actually deserves that same effort. You feel what I'm saying? You end mm-hmm. up, that person who deserves all your time or your effort that you gave in the last relationship.
Right.
You end up hurting the new person who's like, hey, I came to play ball with you.
Right.
And you end up being the referee that just fouls them all the time. Foul. Mm-hmm. No flag on the play all the time. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get out of that mentality of thinking that the opposite sex is the enemy. And I feel like if we're going to do equality, we're going to have to do it all the way. We can't pick and choose when we're going to be equal.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm also a firm believer that we're not meant to be equal. Equally respected, but not function equally. And it's a difference.
Yeah, I think that word equal is defined so differently.
It's so different.
Depending on who's saying it. Mm-hmm. I think all words are used, and we have common language, but we have different definitions. That's mm-hmm. what I'm realizing. Most arguments come from a lack of clear definitions anyway.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? So one person's equality is another person's inequality. You'd be surprised at what they're actually thinking about. But at the end of the day, I do understand this, that if anybody's imbalanced, they can tell.
Exactly.
You know
like,
what I mean?
for example, you know what's imbalanced? And I know this may be funny, but it came to my mind and I feel strongly about it. When you go to Subway and you ask for a 6-inch, everybody don't cut the 6-inch the same.
They really don't. Especially the people that just started.
and you be like, that's a 4.5.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's not 6 inches. Matter of fact, let me get a foot long.
Yeah.
So
just give me another half. I'm gonna just go ahead and buy the sandwich. I was trying to be good. It was about under 6-inch, but
you can tell that really irritates both of us.
Man, I almost headbutt the little shield. For real, cause you know how you lower your head and be like, hey, don't cut the bread. What are you doing? Man, I remember one time I had a double take and I thought he was making a sandwich out of the nub. You know the little nub on the end?
Yeah, you're like,
I'm like, dude, what?
Bruh.
That's a little bread helmet. What are you doing? You're stupid. But no, I understand what you're saying. I definitely understand what you're saying. Kids need balance. Regardless of what it is, however you think the family structure is supposed to be, kids need it, you know? And
I really think men and women are meant to balance each other, not compete with each other.
That is true. I believe that as well, you know? I think when we get to the point of understanding our purpose, see, I ain't gonna lie to you, a lot of people don't even know what they're supposed to be doing on this planet, period, just spiritually, you know what I mean? And I guess our biological assignments, if people don't even know what that's for, if they don't even know themselves spiritually, they're not going to necessarily know what they're physically supposed to be doing either.
True.
You know what I mean? And, you know, it's not necessarily pushing an agenda on someone, but if you don't know, you don't know. And if you don't know, you're going to be confused and fall for a lot of different things. You know? So I think a lot of people just need to, if you search, seek and you shall find, right? You need to go look for it. Find out what you're supposed to be doing. If you want to be a man or you consider yourself a man, men are supposed to be doing certain things. Find out what those things are. I had a really cool conversation with some folks the other day, and I had a lady friend of mine. She's real cool. Got to grow up together, and she was like, you know, I'm a queen. You know, and it was funny because I always mess with her. I was like, queen of what? And she was like, what you mean? I said, no. You told me that you was the queen, and I just asked you of where and of what. And she was like, of myself. You know, I came from kings and queens. I was like, which ones? And she was like, you trying to be funny. I was like, no, I'm really not. And what it really boiled down to, I mess with all the time, but I was just like, well, let me ask you this. You are a queen. She said, yeah. I said, so what is a queen's responsibility? And most queens have to do stuff. You know what I mean? And a lot of dudes, I'm a king. You be like, king of what? They can't tell you. They just know that. But honestly, I think what's happening now is people are naming themselves kings and queens just for the sake of people bowing down to them, but not necessarily for what their service is supposed to be. Because I know kings and queens, if you really look up in history, I think they were ruling stuff, and in order to rule things, you need to know what's going on and need to be able to provide for a lot of people. So that entitlement that people are supposed to, do certain things because I call myself a certain thing, just re-examine it, man. Try to find out exactly, if you're calling yourself that, are you living up to it? Do you even know what you're calling yourself? Because I can't tell you that you're not a king. I can't tell you that you're not a queen. But if you tell me you are and I ask you a question, you have no idea what you're saying, go find out.
You know what I say all the time, and I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash for saying this.
Cool, backlash is cool.
But normally when I had these conversations with women, this is where this is where it all goes south. And as a male, it is clearly defined for us from the time that we look at the opposite sex, besides the fact of, beyond just they different. When we're taught from a young age what we're supposed to be for a woman, what a man is supposed to supply, how he's supposed to act, how he's supposed to treat a woman. And that defines us as a worthy man. Okay, there's two questions I ask. I'll be like, okay. And it's like you get the same, and it didn't really matter how educated or uneducated she is. She'll come up with these similar but different from woman to woman, ideals of what a good man is and how he's supposed to be and what she deserves. The next question I ask is, okay, cool. We're just going to go with that. You're right. That is what defines a good man. Okay. Well, what defines a good woman? That's the second question I ask. But the first question I ask, okay, so if you're entitled to all of these things and that's what defines a good man, then what are you responsible for doing once you receive that? Because with great privilege comes great responsibility.
Privilege and power. You got to do something with it.
So, well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying no, because you're saying that men and women are equal, but you can't be equal if you put one or the other on a pedestal. So that means that if we're treating you greatly, there's a equivalent that's supposed to be returned. So what is it that quote unquote good man that you describe, what is it that is returned to him? Well, we don't owe you anything. Well, we don't owe you anything either. But yet society makes us treat you a certain way.
True.
So what is standard by society that makes you treat us a certain way if we give you this treatment?
Yeah, and I think too, like if I'm not mistaken, I've seen a lot of people saying, "Don't treat me a certain way because of my gender," right? But I was like, well, chivalry specifically mandates that a certain treatment is put upon you because of your biological assignment. If I look at you and you look stereotypically like a female, I've been taught to, hey, make sure the door is open, make sure the bags are carried, make sure, and when you see one of those, you're supposed to be doing something, right? And then if you flip the coin, what are they supposed to be doing when they see us? And so sometimes, if that's not even being discussed, I mean, that's just a fact. You know what I mean?
That's just how it is.
It's just how it is. So that inequality is there. And I agree with them. You know what I'm saying? I like, there's inequality between the sexes. I like, trust me, I've seen it. If I have to sacrifice who you are and just react to you how you look, but I bypass what kind of person you are, that is detrimental to the relationship, period. I mean, you get a treatment just based off how you look, not who you are. And that is unfair. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, it's so many different things
that you could touch on that topic.
Yeah.
Because women don't have it easier to either.
No.
It really doesn't. And there was this one thing that I was watching. I was watching a documentary where both genders switched. And it was like a 6-month period. And if I can find the name of the documentary, I'll bring it back. But a man became a woman and a woman became a man. And when I tell you it looked so realistic, it was unreal. Right. And at the end of the day, both genders said, wow, I didn't know they had to deal with everything that they had to deal with. Oh yeah. And it was just that perspective of, okay, well, because sometimes men, we be like, oh man, women, they don't have to worry about this. They got it easy on that. And then women be like, well, men have this great privilege. Yeah, but when everything goes wrong, it's all our fault.
I think
even when it's not going wrong,
I think it's boiling down to both just respect for each other's issues. Yeah, I think just respect for each other's existence, respect for each other's issues, man. And just because a person has, I guess, biological equipment doesn't automatically make them a recipient of something that you think is a privilege. You know what I mean? Men and women alike. You're a woman, you get this, and really you have no idea what she just been through in the last couple hours.
Oh, period. She done went through everything.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
One thing that I hate that women go through is they fault how they dress. Oh, you shouldn't have worn that. You know how men is. That's your fault. Yep. Yeah. That's I could only imagine. But at the same time, it said, well, men don't have to go through that. Well, I apologize that they don't make clothes that have our male reproductive parts available to be seen. They don't make clothes like that for us. So that's a point of view we'll never understand.
Right.
Just like there's point of views that we have that they'll never understand.
Exactly.
And we need to get to a point where we'll be like, well, I'll never be able to see it from their point of view, but I need to respect how they feel.
Exactly. So, I mean, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, man, this is a new situation. I know a lot of the first few weeks of 2017 been kind of rough to the point I was like, hey, it's 2016, you still busy? Like, it wasn't that bad, you know what I mean? So, but 2017 has definitely been a doozy, man. But I really think that there's more opportunities in 2017 that we can realize at the moment because so much stuff has happened and so much stuff has been said. But I think if we focus on the things that actually matter, and the things that matter to you may not matter to me, but as long as we try to find out where they are, you know what I'm saying, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be all right as a people, and all people on this planet, not just black people. But if you find out every day when you get up, you find out exactly what you want to accomplish, and you want to make sure that certain distractions don't alter your day, I think we can all be great, man. I think we can all be great. So we wish y'all much luck and success, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning back in to Manhood Mindset, man. We had a really good time. We're going to be back every Thursday, 7 to 9. Mm-hmm. All right. And we got a call-in number now, y'all. So I know a lot of...
Nobody called.
Yeah, no. It's fine. Sometimes people just want to... Some people just want to sit back and be like, you know what, it's kind of touchy. I don't want to talk on that. And plus, they got call ID. So... Now, some people are like, man, you got call ID. Yeah, even if you...
Actually do.
Exactly. So if you call private, man, we can still see you and, you know, your baby picture pop up. But other than that, man, just make sure you believe in yourself. Love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, this world will teach you how to love it, and it'll make you sacrifice yourself to be accepted by it. So just be careful of what you love and what you don't love, because it could cost you. All right. Make sure you find your identity. Make sure you find out your supporters, who your supporters are, not your followers. Your following people can't feed you when they follow you. People feed you when they support you. Mm-hmm. And so if you concentrate on followers, man, you may end up being hungry. Concentrate on how many supporters you have and how often you can support them. And that's how we all gonna make this thing happen, man. So find out get you a mentor. Find out somebody who may be an entrepreneur. Find out a person who's a millionaire. Find out some people who have that financial freedom that you're looking for, and find out the people who've already been doing it. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just need to find out people who's selling them tires, and we need to be around them folks at all costs, man. I had a really good conversation with an entrepreneur last week, and he just said, Chris, man, what a lot of people don't understand, man, the key to success is getting rid of that safety net. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Even though I don't agree with the vast majority of everything that Trump has done and said and thought and all of this other good stuff, he is removing a load of safety nets. And a lot of us going to have the tightrope, and we're going to have to trust each other so we won't fall. You know, so hopefully we can make this thing through, and I think we will. Matter of fact, I know we will, because we worship the Most High. We don't worship money, and we don't worship notoriety, and we don't worship none of that spotlight stuff. We worship the Most High, our Creator. You know what I mean? So whatever's in the beginning will be in the end, and money wasn't there when He was creating our soul. So you got to be careful what you're living for, because we gave you life, didn't need it to create you. All right. So we much love to all of y'all who are supporting the show. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. You can just type in Manhood Mindset. We'll be uploading this to YouTube, and you share it with people who may benefit, man. Big Dog, you got anything to say to the people?
Yeah, y'all can actually follow me on Instagram and Snapchat. It's Executive Dale, EXECUTIVE. Mm-hmm. V as in violin, VE. Executive Dale, DALE. Mm-hmm. Both of it, all of it is the same for my Instagram, for my Snapchat, Facebook, www.facebook.com/ whatever that thing is that do the shoulder lean to the right. Mm-hmm. Executive Dale. That's it. Everything is Executive Dale. Business cards coming soon. Shout out to Dijon.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
His designs, it's on point. It's on point. Business cards coming soon. Social media header coming soon. Follow, bro. He's real talented. Prices are on point. Quality work. Customer service ready.
Dejon Butler Designs. Is it D Butler Designs or Dejon Butler Designs?
I think it may be Dejon Butler Design.
Yeah. So look up Dejon Butler Designs, man, and get you and support a young brother starting his business. Very upstanding guy. Very hard worker. You know what I mean? A lot of the things that we're trying to do. Also, too, on social media, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Big Chris Joker, BigChrisJoquer. And on Facebook, you can just type in Christopher Pugh. Last name is Pugh, man. So follow us on all of our social media. Make sure you go on YouTube and just type in Manhood Mindset and make it sci-fi. You'll see all of our episodes, and make sure you download those as well. Shout out to everybody who came out to the Statesboro Showcase last night. We were downtown at Main Street Billiards, 29 West Main Street. We had 4 of the livest performers I've seen in a while, man. We had 4 hip-hop artists, and they were from Savannah, they were from West Atlanta, they were from all over the place, and they really shut that thing down last night, man. And it was a really good spot. If you're ever looking to explore your talents, make sure you come to the Statesboro Showcase, and you can email statesboroshowcase@gmail.com if you want to register to perform at the next show. The next show will be February 22nd. 29 West Main Street, downtown Statesboro, GA, man. Love y'all. We appreciate all your support. Make sure you save our number, 912-478-7364. WVGS 919 The Buzz. Big Dog, you ready to take us out?
One more thing. One more thing. Mm-hmm. Also follow ZooQs.
Yes.
_1986.
Yes.
And support us. Find one of us. It shouldn't be too hard, especially if you're on campus. We got our pageant.
Yes, there you go.
Going down.
Get on the pageant.
Pageant is on the 10th.
Right, and tickets are being sold in the Union on a daily basis. You can see one of our pageant contestants or one of the members of the Zany Zoo for your tickets. They got VIP tickets too, so make sure you all go out there and support. We have some very talented young ladies on campus that are going to leave you speechless at this pageant. You don't want to miss out on that. And we have a very nice, upscale event. What event is that?
It's called GQ.
The return.
The return of GQ.
So it's your grown and sexy event, if I'm not mistaken. And the day after. All right.
On the 11th.
On the 11th, on that Friday, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. That'll be a great way to start up Valentine's Day weekend.
Exactly. So come clean or don't come at all. You know what I mean?
Dress to impress.
Exactly. So thank y'all so much, ladies and gentlemen, man. Make sure you get your book, read it, and apply what you have learned. Love yourself, man. Keep growing.
This has been another episode of Manhood Mindset on WVGS 91.9 The Buzz. We'll see you next week, same time. It's better this way.
Root
to the buzz.